All right, we're live.
All right, Kenmore City Council is back in session. Michael?
All right, now we're down to the general city issues, and there's a number of these that have been identified by folks, starting with the website redo. Deborah.
This was just a question, kind of where are we with that?
It was funded in the budget,
Okay.
and so we're gonna get started with it first quarter.
Great.
Yeah, can't wait.
Okay. Anything else on this? Stacy?
Is it gonna make sure that the website version works well? Is that the one? It's kind of wonky.
The website,
Website, if you're seeing the website on a mobile device,
Okay.
or sorry,
Oh.
yeah, on a mobile device, is that
I'll
gonna
have to-
make sure that we're,
I have to check on that.
because right now using our city website on a mobile device.
Mhm.
helps us.
Kind of essential.
We
No,
can do a report at a council meeting.
Sure, just, you know, put that in your mind,
Yeah.
that
That would
that's,
be great, yeah.
Yeah.
So check that part out. Okay. Anything else on this one? All right. Climate, what can we do? That's Nigel.
I just want to keep climate on, I'm happy that I was able to, to talk to you guys into joining K4C. I'd like to see us leverage that in the coming year or two and continue looking at ways that the city can help, in our small way, address climate in a meaningful way at the city level. I'm not proposing to be a major work plan, but I think that we should be looking at ways, just small things that we can get around what those are. So, there are people out there who are willing to come and talk to the city about what cities can do to address the issue. K4C is a partner that we can look at too also, but I just want it to be a larger part of our discussion going forward.
Deborah.
I believe, and I've said this in email, I think too, to a couple of different people, but on K4C's work plan from 2 years ago, they were supposed to develop this municipal focused toolkit. And so I hope that we can nudge them toward that. They are funded to do that. That is their job. So I don't feel like it's our role that we have to do that for them. I mean, they have the resources to do the research. And once we get something like that, then we can kind of say, well, let's pick and choose what we can do. And that seems like that'd be a good framework. If it, whoever's the rep to that group, if they're, if it looks like that group is not gonna do that, getting some guidance from them about maybe other jurisdictions that we could look to that have done that kind of work. I mean, I don't wanna recreate the
Yeah, I think
wheel.
Kirkland is put together a plan, there's other cities. that have
Yeah,
but-
so, right.
Okay. Anything else?
I would like to have them come give a presentation. I mean, we're now part of their group, we've put some money toward it. I'd like to just sort of, hear what they think they're doing and how they're progressing along toward their goals.
And what's the name of this group?
K4C.
K4C. Okay.
King County Climate Collaboration.
King County City, no, you got me.
Okay.
Forward.
K4C. Okay. All right. Anything else on this? Right, so
Couple things.
the to do.
Yeah, we can definitely have K4C come. We're also gonna have Court Olson come and talk to you about the toolkit for cities. Vicki Granlund suggested that, and so we're scheduling a time for him to come and talk to you guys. And then Vicki suggested that we read this book. So I checked it out at the library. It's called Climate of Hope. It's by Michael Bloomberg and Carl Pope. So kind of Bloomberg's an independent now. He was a Republican, mayor of New York, and Carl Pope was head of the Sierra Club for many years. So it's kind of a fun partnership, these two guys writing this book together. But it's very practical, and it's all about how it's about not waiting for the international and national community to figure things out. And they point out that Congress tends to be more of a follower than a leader, and that real change happens at the local level. And they talk about how mayors can make the most impact when it comes to climate change. And they have just lots of practical tools that cities and communities and businesses can do on their own to get things moving. So I haven't read the whole book, but I've read a bunch of it, and it's super practical and super inspiring. So,
Nancy?
For those of you who were at the Ledge event earlier in the week, I was really impressed and kind of surprised about how many people talked about climate change in the town hall meeting with the legislative delegation.
Yeah, it's, the city of, the whole community of Olympia is seriously motivated around sea level rise. Like, I mean, they're like now having serious conversations about moving things and putting up I mean, they're down in that level of discourse right now, so just as an example, Brett.
Yeah, I agree, and I think especially at the national level, we actually see it going the opposite direction with the tearing down of regulatory items that have been put in place for very practical reasons, and it almost demonstrates that it needs to come from a more fundamental lower level.
Okay, so are you saying the person that the council's gonna read that book, or you're gonna make it available, or?
no, if you wanna check it out or want the city to buy you a copy, that would be property of the city, but we.
Yeah, I'm not saying that, I thought maybe I'd heard that.
I think it's worth the read. And then I think, what Court Olson might have to offer might also provide some practical doable tools. You know, I've elevated Richard to, more than just surface water now. He's environmental services manager and he's our city rep on K4C. And so this is a topic he's passionate about, and Richard's happy to help us with things like that.
Interesting. Okay. Anything else, Nigel, on this one that you want? Okay, sounds like there's some momentum going on this then. That's great. Okay. Improve customer service. That was you.
Really?
I didn't think it was me.
I think next year we should put people's names next.
Yeah.
to the top.
I have it, actually.
I know you do,
I
but we
can
should
do
put that
that.
on our version so
Yeah.
we're
Right.
ourselves.
Oh, well, can I, do it right on the flip charts and things we're doing?
Sure.
So, I heard this brought up the last retreat, and my coworkers have been clamoring for a long time to want to improve the way we do things and get on the same sheet of music when it comes to customer service. And so we had some trainings for all staff on customer service over the last year. We had this guy named Jeff Kober come in and teach us some pretty powerful concepts. One, and this guy's a former Disney World executive, but he taught us this thing called the chain reaction. And I won't go into all these details too much. Chain reaction of excellence. And really four. So leadership excellence. And if you want your end result, let's put a smiley face. But these are happy, loyal customers, happy citizens. They're happy with the direction we're going. They get great service from us. They say good things about us after we've interacted with them. It starts with leadership. Then the next level is internal customer service. So, and I've talked about that in my budget message about the Starbucks model, and how Howard Schultz realized that. It was all about taking care of the staff and doing really good internal customer service, where we're working together and clicking together. And then external customer service is the next chain reaction, is the next thing. So before you can really do good external customer service, you need to have good internal customer service. And then that results in happiness. Loyal customers, satisfied electorate, that type of thing. And then another thing he taught us about was you gotta have your service vision and values and behaviors. And he develops what he calls a customer compass. And N stands for needs, your customer's needs. And we all have fundamental needs, like the need to be heard and understood. That's a fundamental customer need. And there's other needs like that we went over and we're trained on. And then he tries to do north, south, east, and west. So W is walk. And what he means by that is walking in other people's shoes and empathy. And south is style. So understanding how people are wired. So there's ways people interact with each other differently. They have different temperaments. Some people are more outgoing and in your face. Some people are more reserved. Understanding people's styles of communication. And
Excellent.
expectations. Getting on the same sheet of music with your customer on service expectations. Anyway, we went into full detail on these and laid the groundwork. Then what we did is we created a service vision, and all the employees helped participate in that. And that's in your packet, that we created a service vision. And the service vision is propelling Kenmore upward. And then there's 2 bullets under it. One is we help people love where they live, and we help grow a thriving community. And that's in your packet. That's our service vision. And then under that, we have values like integrity and continuous improvement and proactive and stuff. And then under each one of those values, we have behaviors. So we established that as a base. And then based on that, we recognize that customer service is a continuous improvement process where we always have room to improve with customer service. So we created a customer service committee. And we've met several times. And what I said is anybody can be on the committee. I'm not handpicking anybody. Well, a lot of people see customer service as an important priority, so we have a lot of people on the committee, which is good. But we have done some things like we've reinforced the vision on the committee, including expectations of customer service, and talk through things like the need to follow through and close the loop and keep the citizen updated, things like that. And then we have what is a citizen action request? That has been a foggy issue for years, and I should have solved this or worked on this years ago, but we finally tackled this. We're now, as an entire organization, we're now on the same sheet of music as of what constitutes entering a car into the system and what doesn't. So we worked through all that as a group, and we're now all on the same sheet of music. What was happening is some people thought something triggered a car and didn't, and there wasn't continuity across the organization. It was kind of a mess.
But
Now-
if a citizen enters it, you always deal with it, right?
What?
If it's a citizen entering car, it's always a car, right?
Exactly. Yeah, thank you for that. And that's one thing we clarified, because you click on report a concern, And no matter what it is if it's citizen initiated, it's a car and we can't unmake it a car.
You gotta drive that car.
And then another thing we've done is we've created response time standards across the entire organization. When I got here, I just assumed that we had, because I would ask Public Works what the response time standards are, and they would tell me. And then I just wrongfully assumed that that was true across the whole organization. And it wasn't necessarily the case. So now we're all on the same sheet on response time standards, like when somebody puts in a request, how quickly are we gonna get back to them initially, just saying, hey, we got it, we're gonna be following up with you. And then how much time elapses between the next communication and so on. So we figured that out. And another big one was,
Sorry to interrupt you again, is that on the website so the citizens know what the expectations for responses are, for response time?
so we're gonna, no, but it needs to be, doesn't it? It's a great idea. Yeah, we're gonna put all this in a administrative policy. But yeah, I think and then there's something I'm gonna get to in a minute that would be perfect for that. But yeah, we should tell the citizens what they can expect on what they can be hearing from us. That's a great idea. Another one is department routers. Oftentimes the front desk or me or somebody will get a request from a citizen and I'm not quite sure exactly who to send it to. And then it gets passed around and go up. Now we've created department routers so that if you're in doubt, if you don't know who to send it to, there's a key person in that department that will take the baton. So for all of public works and engineering, it's Nikki. For all of community development, or development services and community development, it's Bridget. For the city manager's office, it's Nancy Meehan. And for finance,
It's me.
it's Kelly, thank you. So we've got these department routers, and that's gonna be a huge relief because the receptionists have always been confused on who do I send this to? And they're usually pretty good at knowing a lot of the time, but a lot of the time they don't. So department routers. So those are things that we have established and that we're gonna put in writing. And another thing I'm really excited about is we're gonna create that module that is gonna create a much better interface on the website. So right now, you click on report a concern, and it's just this catch-all thing, you type in things, and then Nikki has to re-enter it into CityWorks. So this module is gonna give people a menu of choices, and it's not gonna be perfect at first, we'll fine tune it as we go, but they'll be able to, is this a police matter, is this a road issue, is it a park issue, they'll give them a selection, and then it'll automatically go into our CityWorks system. And we're gonna get a demo on this soon. There was a demo given to us, some of our coworkers a few weeks ago, but we're gonna get a demo on it soon, and we'll show you one too when we're ready. But it's there's no upfront cost. It's $3,600 a year for the first 3 years, and then $2,400 a year after that. I think that's really worth it. So we're really excited about that module. And then we have some other things to work out as well, like squeaky wheel. So we get these, we get all these complaints in priority order, and we're working on them when we can. But then there's the squeaky wheel, and we need to come to better common understanding as an organization how we treat squeaky wheels. So,
Can you say just a little bit more about what you mean by that? I think I know, but I don't want to assume.
just a citizen who does what we call shopping. So they'll call Jennifer. If they don't get the right answer from Jennifer, they'll call Nancy. And if they don't get the answer, then they'll call me. And then they're calling a whole bunch of people, and now it's brought to my attention, and now I see it as a priority because it's been brought to my attention. And they're like, well, wait a second, this person needs to get in line. So we gotta figure things out. Or if a council member gets involved, how does that fit? So it's just something we need to talk through and get on the same sheet of music about.
Nigel and then Mel.
So going to the issue of like reporting cars for citizens, you know, I've seen some jurisdictions have kind of a mobile app that they have available. People can, you know, GPS tag where they are, take a photo of the problem, submit it, boom, done. I don't know if we're going that route, but with the new website, is at a minimum on the new website, entering in cars on a mobile device, is it going to be super obvious at the website and super easy to do? On a phone.
Yes, it will be
I just did one last week, it was easy.
Okay.
mobile friendly, yeah.
No, I haven't done one, so.
Bill?
But just at a high level, I think this is a really important topic, and it's important enough, it needs to have reminders every now and then. So at Evergreen, this was a big deal. So we had our 101 class, that was like a 4-hour class where the whole clinic would be closed, and we'd actually focus on customer service for everybody. Then a year later, we did the 201 class. It was shorter, but kind of a brush up. So this is something you need to, you know, you did your big push, but it's something you'll never stop doing. You need to keep coming. And the more, you know, some of it's kind of high level theory, but some of it has to be really practical. Like for us, it was at the end of the visit, we should ask, our patients, do you understand the plan? So the goal was everybody in the whole organization, they were seeing patients, they would ask that question. And do you have any more questions? So those are two simple things they taught us to do. So the more you can have really concrete things, just that aren't hard, but everybody's doing.
Yeah. And then the customer service committee is not done, and it'll probably always exist as a committee. How frequently it meets is another question, but we're meeting twice a month for a couple months here because we're gonna finish hammering out all this stuff. We're also gonna tackle another issue in the organization, and that's called roles and responsibilities. So you'd think that we got that all figured out, and we do for, I would say, 75% of it. But there's still gray area on when something comes in, who gets routed, who's actually making the decision, who gets input. There's still some stuff like that that isn't totally figured out, and we need to get that more laid out in some standard operating procedures. So we're excited about that as a next topic. And then something I think for maybe for 2020 is I'd like to get the organization trained in lean. We did that a few years ago. The state auditor's office offers it for free. And so a few years ago, we did some lean training, but it never really went anywhere. With the exception of Brian, Brian has done a lean exercise in his department that really paid off. And I think Brian wants to take another aspect of his business and do another lean exercise. So I think Brian is definitely leading the way on lean. But I'd like to carry that throughout the whole organization, and that's probably in 2020. So those are my thoughts on customer service.
Great. Any other questions or comments? Great. Okay, thanks, Rob. Deborah,
Yeah, the next.
where's the fun?
Right, so where's the fun isn't a separate topic, it's actually the next 4 items. So you can cross out where's the fun. So these are, this is one of my many things that I'm interested in, but I just wanted to float the idea of a food truck court. They do this in Portland. I don't know actually what the infrastructure from the, who's sponsoring the infrastructure. I assume it's the city. It's basically just a canopy and probably some power and a bunch of food trucks. Maybe not even power since they have their own power. That has a place that's more centralized. What we've done here in the city that I'm aware of is, in the summer or in the better weather, we've had food trucks once a week, midday on a Friday along 68, plus of course Karen has all the time food truck right there. The Friday during the day in the summer, it's like, not that many people work in Kenmore during the day, so that, that's limiting your contact right there. I guess, for the majority of citizens, they're going somewhere and then coming back. And so, dinner is a time that might be more fruitful for the food trucks. And it's also when they're less busy downtown, so there might be more opportunity to get food trucks here in the evening. So anyway, that was my thought, is to have maybe, oh, and the other reason to have them together is, if you think about it, if you don't know, if there's only one food truck and you don't exactly know what it is at any given time, you might not be jazzed about actually visiting it because it might not be something that you want. But if there's always 3 or 4, it's like, oh, I'll go to the food truck court because there's always going to be something that I'll eat, particularly if they're rotating. So anyway, so those are my ideas if there was a way to get a little synergy. I do not know where it would go. My thought would be somewhere close to the community club in Karen, since they already have one. And maybe if there was a way to have a couple more just on the street and just sort of say, this is where we're going to encourage a couple of food trucks to come, so that we get a little synergy. So that was, just wanted to see if there was any traction or any enthusiasm about that. I'm not entirely sure what it would take to encourage a couple more.
You saying evenings?
Well, I think evenings would, I mean, and maybe that's just because, pretty much the circle that I run with, they go away and then they come back. So, I mean, I know there are, plenty of people who do stay in the city, but it seems like a Friday when people head out of town, and in the summer, it's kind of the lowest probability of actually, to me, having success. So, yeah.
Okay, no,
So I've been to the food court in Portland, and it's amazing. And you do have all those varieties, so you can eat Somali food, or you can eat, whatever you want. But you really need density. So I'm honestly just not sure that Kenmore has the ability to do that at all. If we did something, like maybe Friday night, so something predictable.
Yeah.
At the right time when people are coming home from work, that they could do it and have at least more than one. 'Cause you're right. If you don't know, if they have Mexican and you don't like Mexican, well, you don't know that till you show up.
Right.
So to have something reproducible every week,
Yeah.
but kind of at least 2 trucks. So I like some of the ideas,
Yeah,
but I
okay.
wouldn't spend too much energy on it.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Because I just don't think we have the density yet for them to really get busy enough to make it worth their while.
Okay.
Stacy, then.
I like the idea in general, but, the Karen area is really hard to park at in the evenings, and that might be a deterrent for some. If we did have food trucks coming, I do agree it needs to be in the evening. And it would be much better if it was a rotating food truck, so I know like Karen's are can be pretty set, every Monday or every Tuesday are the same one, so it'd be much more interesting if they moved. Maybe an easier way to start it off would be putting it with something that we have regularly, like the movies, because I know we have at least one food truck come for the movies, maybe there's room for another, and maybe we just promote it a little more. Then you've got a group of people who are gonna come possibly use the food truck, so just.
Brenton, then David.
The Kenmore food truck, there is a Facebook page for that actually tells you what truck will be there. And so that gets to the predictability thing, because there is something, they actually have a schedule of it. What I love about the one at Karen is one, we didn't have to do anything. It was the private sector that found a need and took care of it, which I thought was great. And I think its success is highly correlated to the brewery right there, just feet away. And I think that Neinert's just got their kitchen, or is about ready to get their kitchen open. And then the other brewery, 192, already has their kitchen. I love food trucks. I mean, we had the Alaska dumplings last week, but I just think I think until we have the density to support it, and we don't have a lunch crowd because we don't have offices, that I have a hard time seeing it being able to force it any area other than by the breweries, because that seems like a natural thing.
I know that 9 Yards had a lot of problems with food trucks.
Okay.
Trying to get them there, but they wouldn't show up and different things because there just wasn't the volume there to make them happy. I know one of the trucks that was there once was Where Are You At, Man? Which is a real good truck with beignets, some good New Orleans food. And so, I mean, I love food trucks also. The problem is there's just not the density to support a bunch of trucks. Up at concerts, we have one food truck, perhaps two, because that's all we can really get. And then there is a ice cream truck and then something else. But we certainly try, and I know that Shelby tries to get food trucks. We had the hot dog stand, but they quit coming down because it's just too far from them to come to from Bellingham. So, but in any event, it takes density, and that's one of the issues that we're finding over by the breweries. So there's just not the density to support that many food trucks, especially since 9 Yards and 192 are open their own kitchens.
Deborah?
So what I do to kind of close this out, I mean, we're already investing a little bit of energy to try to get food trucks here Fridays, you know, midday. I guess what I would suggest is that we just shift that little bit of energy to potentially go with like the Thursday night, since we have the church that's doing a little market that they're trying to promote. You know, just shift it to be a little more synergistic with both people coming back and maybe something else that's trying to get off the ground. Not investing new energy, but maybe thinking about something like that.
And with the movies at the square, I
Or the
would
movies,
love
yeah.
to see at least two.
Yeah, we don't have that many.
Sometimes it isn't
movies,
the
but-
one you happen to want to eat.
Yeah, my only concern with food trucks and movies at the square is just purely noise. Those generators running behind while a movie's trying to play could be problematic.
You
Just
put it on
toss that out.
68 or-
And I don't know how that's gonna fit now with the restaurants.
Well, you don't, you just put them, you could literally park them you could block off the parking right there on 181st, just park them and have them facing the sidewalk. It'd work.
Sounds like though, what I'm hearing is that if you could look for ways to link them to your existing events, that
Exactly.
might be
Exactly.
an easy shift.
Yeah, so on our events, Shelby's telling me that the food trucks are having a hard time even making money at our events. They make money at fireworks, because you get 5,000 people there at fireworks. But they're having a hard time making money at the concerts
I don't think they made money at Play Day either.
and movies, yeah.
Just
So they're really reducing the number of food trucks that come to concerts. I think they're just going down to one food truck now. The other thing that's kind of a bummer about food trucks is it's a food truck, so you think it should be cheap, and it's $12 for a sandwich, you know? And so people are kind of disappointed about that. I kind of like the hot dog stands, the food carts, they seem to have even less overhead, but and there's things like you gotta be within so many feet of a bathroom with hot water and all that stuff.
Okay.
But yeah, trying to shift it from Fridays to another night. Instead of Friday midday, shift it to Thursday night or
I
Friday
do like
night.
that you made that idea.
Well, we do have that market thing, right? Somebody's trying to do like a farmer's market.
Yeah, that doesn't really, it's
Oh,
not working well.
Well, I know, but that's what I'm saying. Could there be some synergy?
They had food trucks, they had multiple food trucks, and they've been dropping them off and they've got it.
Let's do it for location. I mean, I'd like to see us work with that market, try to scoot them down to, you know, the square or
Yeah.
something at some point.
Would you guys be okay with that? I think that's a cool idea
Yeah.
to shift that farmer's market to the town square.
I mean, I think they get a lot more business.
I do
Oh,
too.
yeah.
Yeah, the park, yeah, just in and out.
How's the parking around there gonna be?
Which one?
If we were gonna be sponsoring it or helping or having them at the town square, I think we need to put some expectations of what's there. Because like when I go to a food market, I wanna see vegetables and fruits and flowers and
Oh,
other stuff. And that food
not just trinkets.
that one ends up, like, they started out with a couple and then people are dropping out and, you know, within just a few weeks, there was maybe one vegetable and one flower, but other than that, it's just stuff. And
Correct.
I don't think that brings in the people week after week when it's the same static, you know, leggings or whatever it is. So we would have to have, like, you need to have at least 2 fruits or vegetable stands and something like that if we were gonna end up sponsoring it, or I don't think people will come back every week.
I mean, farmer's market means a market with food that farmers grow.
That one
No.
isn't necessarily that kind of a market.
That's Webster's definition.
No,
I guess my thought, rather than sponsoring it, is just to say, we're making our spot open for you to have the square available instead of up there where they don't get many people just walking by. So they would get a little more business just because there's more people downtown. but not for us to sponsor, have control, or spend any money on it. But just to say, your schedule, we let people schedule this space, and we're happy to let you come schedule this space. And I know there were some issues, and I don't remember all of them, but with the fresh fruits and vegetables, the public health department wanted to get involved, and then there was fees involved that they couldn't afford.
Yep.
And it just got way complicated. It just got way complicated, yeah.
You know who really wants a farmer's market at the town square is the Seaplane restaurant manager. She wants to buy her stuff local and fresh, and that's part of their marketing.
They
Well,
should
could
drive it.
they,
They should
yeah,
drive
and they
it.
have the public, I mean, I wonder if there's some way to work that out.
They get utilities, it'd be a natural.
Maybe check it out.
They might already have a permit that would cover it.
No, the health department wants inspections of the different vendors.
Okay, kind of,
I just want to say, I'm very much Stacy, I think, said about the food, and that, I think that is a good point, that I don't know how you set an expectation like that. I don't know if you can write it out in the business plan for somebody in the permit, but gosh, if they get really focused on those items, otherwise it's kind of like it's like walking through a shop in Leavenworth. It's like, do I need another nutcracker and a snow globe or something?
okay. The arts.
Yeah, I love the way the food truck conversation
Yeah,
works.
sorry, I didn't mean to hijack.
No,
No,
that's
no,
good.
it's good, it's all about where's the fun. So arts, a lot of subtopics around here, but it came to, that multiple folks here attention at, AOK, Arts at Kenmore, could potentially use some support. Now, I've talked to a couple people since then, including Trish, and may have a little bit less urgency around it than originally thought. But to my understanding from those discussions, and I wanted to check it out with Michael and everybody here, that the simple designation of designating Arts of Kenmore as a local arts agency, not an arts commission, but a local arts agency would allow them to generate more funding and more support. I don't know, I guess I wanted to ask the question, what does that mean in terms of the designation on our part? Does that mean anything? Does that mean they're exclusive? I think it does. What would that mean for others? So that's one topic. How can we support them a little bit more without spending potentially more money? Do they need consultation, things like that? And then the corollary to that is I would love to see us open up the concept of arts. We talked about this in council meeting too, to include performing arts. And Arts of Kenmore is certainly open to that. They don't have a lot of bandwidth, but now that we have, for example, the new theater group that is also open to joining with Arts of Kenmore, I think there's a really good opportunity to kind of broaden that concept and make AOK, designate it as a local arts agency that would bridge both the performing and the visual arts. So I wanted to first find out what does that mean to designate them, and yeah.
So for those that don't know, I worked in the arts in a variety of capacities, but one of them was developing arts councils and commissions across the state of Washington, at the time with the Washington State Arts Commission. And at that time, and I want to punctuate that because I haven't connected for a while, so the two organizational models they're different. One's a 501c3 Arts Council. Arts Commission is typically a commission of city government or state government, what have you. So the structure's different, and some of the assumptions behind the structures are important to this discussion. In an Arts Commission, there's an assumption that there is city funding off the city staff, so it's a programmatic commitment that's made. Percent for arts is off of the length, funding is part of it typically, or can be, and this is what's important to this discussion is there's an assumption that it's broad-based, so you would be looking at performing arts, you'd be looking best you can at a wide range of arts. It would not just be targeted towards visual arts or whatnot.
Right.
So kind of consistent with the government model of inclusiveness. Arts councils, less oriented that way, but and often more able to create a personality around the arts. So in this case, it seems like it would be a focus on visual arts in your community at this time. They don't have to do that. The designation, though, at least back in the day, was that it became a mechanism by which money would flow through them. So there's national funding sources for the arts, and city and private foundations fund the arts in a variety of different ways. And so when I was doing the work, if you designated an arts council, clearly if you had an arts commission, it's yours, right? So if you designate an arts council or 501c3, it sort of would be your representative, if you will, in the arts organizationally. But you don't control it. It's 501c3. And that would then open them up to receive funds. I think they still can receive funds, but they receive funds differently. They usually receive funds programmatically. So someone wants to fund an visual art show or performing arts thing, and they would then be the designated person to get funds and give it as well. So there's some complexities in and underneath it, and that could have evolved since I've been doing it, but that was how it was back in the day. And typically arts councils do better in smaller communities because it's more community-based, if you will. And the governments aren't able or willing or interested to make a financial commitment to an arts commission. And there's a lot that goes with that. It's like any other board or commission that you have. You identify people, they come in, they lobby you. There's certain things there. So these are mechanisms by which you could deliver. At the bottom line is arts programming and support the arts community in a way that you would like to see happen. So that's that. So I guess from that information, I guess that's you. Back to you.
So I guess the art show that's currently happening in City Hall, in our little gallery there, is going to be disappearing.
Oh, really?
Because they just don't have the bandwidth.
Same for the June show.
And so,
Really?
I would be very sorry to see that go.
Yeah.
The Arts of Kenmore, given their limited capacity to attract funds and whatever, is quite likely going to disappear unless we can do something to sort of recognize them as you said, as a council, not a commission, where they can apply for money and get money and do grants and give out, I think, grants to projects that have been brought to them. But I guess I would like to do something for the arts again. I would really like to strengthen that in such a way, because I think that art show that we have in City Hall has showcased a lot of people. I think it's helped a lot of people, even though the sales from it are not that great. But I would like to see us do something to help in some way. And the art show up at Bastyr is going away. I think last year may have been the last year. I don't think it's going to happen this year. So I know my pocketbook that will help. But anyway.
Stacy and then Nigel.
So I guess I don't want to spend direct city funds on it.
Right.
I'm fine if I don't know enough about an art council yet to really have a firm position on it, but can you only have one? Can the city only have one?
Well, I don't know if you're limited. I think typically there is just one arts council. If you look at it this way, what happens with these arts councils is the organizational structure I spoke to. What I didn't speak to is the membership. It tends to operate as a board, kind of. There's more than one. It's structured like that, and there's a variety of people on it. So typically, yes. I've never heard of two arts councils in the same community, and that it tries to not only facilitate arts programming and support of artists and what have you, but you could expect an arts council to lobby you for money, and you could expect them to, and I don't know if you designate them as sort of the formal city, an arts council, if today, that comes with an expectation that you fund part of that. In the arts and at board level, right now, the standard is if you're gonna be on a board, you're expected to donate money to that organization. It's not a common, it's a standard thing across all organizations, if you will. And I don't know where that is right now, but typically, no, you don't have 2 or 3 arts councils. I don't know that I've ever been to a city or an area that's had both an arts council and an arts commission.
Okay, so I guess my thought is if we were going to have an arts council, it would need to be a fair process that more than just Arts Kenmore can apply to and know about. I love Arts Kenmore a lot, but I don't know what other arts groups are out there that might want that same benefit. I know they already are a 501c3, so this is not, I just don't know enough about arts councils to know what the benefit really is. And then if they're dropping their city hall gallery and their art show, I guess what benefit do they have from them? I guess I just don't know enough.
Right.
Well, certainly with the opportunities, if we can support them as being
Yeah.
arts councils, it will change things. Conceivably, the art shows and that would continue.
Yeah, I want to make sure that if we do something like that, it needs to be a fair process that anybody can apply for.
Okay, Brent, Nancy, and then Deborah.
I'm sorry, was I on that list?
Or Nigel, yes, Nigel, Brent, Nancy.
I think,
You go first.
Oh, yes, Nigel's in.
no, I think AOK has been a just huge asset to the city for years, and I think, I think we probably, I fully support, just naming them the Art Council and calling it a day. There's nobody else really doing that sort of work citywide. I'm totally fine just giving them a designation to help them with funding and other things. And I'm also open to looking at our contracts that we have for the Kenmore, for the City Hall Gallery, making sure that those are fair for everybody and making sure they're updated. They haven't been updated in a few years. And I'm fine looking at those, try to figure out other ways to kind of keep AOK going, because they've been pretty valuable, quietly, but behind the scenes, but they've done a lot to make Kenmore fun and kind of add that flavor that I think you kind of need to have an interesting place to live. So I really appreciate what they've done, and I'm happy to, I'm totally supportive just naming them the council and seeing what else we can do.
Brent, Nancy, Deborah.
I'm also very supportive of what they've done, and I appreciate so much. We talk about where's the fun, and it's like when you think of what this organization, the joy it's brought to the community over the last 20 years or however many years it's been, it's pretty incredible. And so I'm not opposed to help contribute some amount from the city side at some small level, because I feel like we do other things to create art and fun, and this is even a step above that, because they're community activists basically that want to play a role in bettering the community. And so I think there's value there. One of the things that I worry a little bit about, and it's because I don't know enough about how the art world works, but I know feelings can get hurt very easily, and people get very territorial about stuff. And I am concerned about losing the ability for us as a city to put up brew banners on Brew Row, or do something with Hank Aaron on a lamppost, or just things that to me are simple and fun and easy, and then you create this whole other level of bureaucracy that now has to go through a committee, and you have to get full support. I don't even know what I'm saying.
I think you're talking about an art
That's
commission, which is not what we're talking about.
Okay.
We're talking about,
Okay,
yeah, we're talking about an.
I just want to, okay,
external.
so we are totally, we're not,
I don't think anybody's.
Okay,
pushing for arts
good.
commission.
No.
good, okay, good. So that,
He does raise a point, though, that's important to know lurks back there. So if you officially designate a 501c3, there's an official designation there, don't be surprised. At some point, they'll want to weigh in on whether you should do that, or should we have a say in you doing that. And that's not necessarily wrong, but what you're lurking below the surface is it can be quick to get to the presumption that they should at least be consultant.
Absolutely.
And so,
And I look at no further than what we went through at the plaza, when, at City Hall, when I wasn't involved in it, but it was like, gee whiz, can we just build something artistic there? But no, it had, everybody doesn't like this or doesn't like that, and I get this concern that it actually will elevate that problem, not make it easier, and that's my fear, is that, I just wanna make sure that we thought this through enough that, everybody knows their role, sort of.
right, and you just, as, on the advising side, not the facilitating side, you'd want to research what today's contemporary expectations are around, because I'm not current on those. And you, if you're well aware that I hope that the arts community thrives on something that actually down in often on these tensions. It's part of the Creative Act. And so they being the arts community, just bring that to the table naturally. So
Okay.
you're not ever going to escape this, I guess what I'm saying.
No, and that's fine, and that's why I said I don't want to elevate it though. It's hard enough, and so what I'm concerned is all of a sudden now we end up with, we've got a log jam because nobody's willing to give on something, and what could be a simple project all of a sudden now can't be done because you have the city on one end saying this, and then you have a group on the other saying, no, that doesn't meet what we would consider to be art.
Right.
And it's like, okay, now what do we do?
So, Nancy and Deborah.
We've, as you may be aware, we've had a contract with Arts of Kenmore for several years for the displays at City Hall. I'm surprised to hear that they're thinking of backing away from that because we just sent them, within the last few weeks, a new contract for this biennium. And so, this is news to me.
And we subsidize that operation, don't we? We
It's
pay
like-
for all their,
Yeah, we do.
like
Pay
five,
for what?
the gallery operation.
Right.
How much would we give them per year?
I'm trying to remember, and I tried to look it up and can't get access to it. It's certainly in the hundreds. I want to say it's either like 600 or 900 per show.
Per show. Yeah, so several thousand per year.
Yeah.
That we give to them that they put towards what?
The City Hall gallery.
Curating
Through
and-
the City Hall gallery.
Right, and curating, pay people's time for putting the stuff up, for instance, or coordinating.
figuring out.
And finding the
Yeah.
artist.
Finding
Finding the- oh, you know, all
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
Or
Yeah,
it's
the
400 per
publicity.
show. It's 400 per show.
We're doing all that work to bring it all together.
And frankly, there's only two people now that are actively involved.
Okay.
And one basically that's doing the shows, and so I think they're just getting burned out.
Well, it's, I think we've all been around smaller nonprofit organizations too, and they go through developmental stages as people move on or new leadership comes on board. So I'll definitely follow up with Trish. Because I, as the administrator of the contract, have not been informed or told that, gee, we need a higher level of support. So that's what our budget proposal for this was based on.
Okay.
It's kind of staying the course.
Deborah?
Right, I think they're looking for the higher level support via this designation. So I guess how I'd like to put a bow on it, if people are okay with it, is, and I don't know who would do this research. I don't know if that's a Michael thing or I'm happy to do it, is find out, kind of what the modern expectations are, which would include, obviously, what their role would be in any city-initiated art in terms of advisory. There would not be any set in stone expectations around that. What would be the expectations around having, minimum things like the City Hall show, the once a year show, and to have it be a transparent process where we basically put out an announcement, we're considering an arts council, all comers, here are the expectations around input, and what the city's providing in terms of financial support. And that's it, and put out an announcement. We could even include something like having a council rep on the board as an expectation if we wanted to do that.
Okay,
To
I
have a
think that's a
link.
great idea.
So, I mean, I just, something simple like that.
Not me.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm happy to do the research if it comes to that, but I think ideally, someone with more expertise to look into what are the expectations.
Rob?
Yeah, expectations are gonna be key, and,
Yeah.
I'd like to reinforce what Brent said. I just don't wanna create an expectation that all things must now go through this council.
Yeah.
Right.
And I wanna still have the freedom to do a utility cabinet or something, and I don't want somebody going, hey, why weren't we consulted on that? That drives me nuts.
Right.
So,
Nancy?
We'd be happy to maybe work with Fort Culture, and get some information on that.
So staff would do some research on it?
Yeah.
And come back, okay.
Thank
So staff will do some research and bring it back to you in terms of what it all means.
Okay, the next one is these next two are still.
They are.
The 20th anniversary, are we doing anything? This was just a question. I vaguely remember somebody saying we were tabling a maybe a potentially bigger celebration to this coming year. Am I just forgetting that? Okay, so we're done with that. So, okay. No book or anything like that.
well, I tried for that, but couldn't get any.
Oh, okay.
It was
Okay.
gonna be Kenmore turns 21, I think. Wasn't that what it was?
So we'll spend the night doing that at the brewery.
There was a
I remember
thought
we
on
did
that.
talk about it, but
Oh,
yeah.
that's right, 21 years old, and then we bring out the breweries and stuff. Oh, yeah.
That's a great idea.
Oh, I was just joking, was that?
We talk about all the prohibition.
You had mentioned it
It's
Yeah.
actually a great
at some
idea.
point.
Oh, I forgot about that.
That would be fun.
Well, and we've talked a little
That'd
bit
be
about,
That would be
That'd be
good.
great.
Well, Derek would
Because
probably be
everybody
a little organized,
has turned 21 at
so,
some
yeah.
point. That would be
That's
really
nice.
cool.
That's actually
so Nancy,
a pretty neat idea.
we talked to Shelby briefly about a brew fest. I think a couple of you brought this up, where we don't do the major work, but we get the breweries together to do like a September, October brew fest.
And that'd be right after we turn 21.
Yeah,
So,
so yeah, we do
That's-
10 more
that's-
turns 21 and
That's a great idea.
I think
It's not
that's
in our work
cool.
program, isn't it?
not in a work plan.
And we have the community center right there, and they could do a feature on prohibition
have food
and the.
Kenmore Historical
Yeah,
Society.
there's your-
Yeah.
Run movies, there's a lot of old
Roadhouse.
movies about this.
truck. There you go.
Totally. I mean, this is-
Well, and that's part of Kenmore's history.
Yeah,
Oh, and that-
right,
yeah.
that would be pretty cool.
Actually, our house was built in 1928, and down in the basement, there's a bar at one end.
That's
Of the,
funny.
of that, basement, yeah.
Oh,
So I'm sure we were part of the prohibition story.
But I think you could sync the, Heritage Society and, we wouldn't have to organize it, I think, so
Right.
let them kind of.
It's around the same time as the usual summer party, maybe that would just take place in the summer party this year. Except that now we've moved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So play date is now at 21st.
That might be all right.
Okay. Well, cool. All right.
Okay.
Tying city events together.
This relates to the discussion we just had, actually, which is, I'm real familiar with Leavenworth. We talked about Leavenworth, and Leavenworth is a theme town, and we're not. But I'm using it as an example because it's overly clear, of course, when you go there, what their city is about. And all the events are tied together. They have a calendar of events. You know exactly what's coming up. You plan your weekend to visit because you want to go to that event. Now, I'm not suggesting we go to that extreme, obviously, but what I wonder is, can we create a story from our events? Can we create a calendar over the course of the year? Can we space our events in a way that tells all of that? And we ran into, obviously, an issue just with bandwidth this year that we're addressing because we had, events kind of bunched together. And I mean, to me, that was a symptom of not having, you know, this be more plentiful and really articulate the fun. We get a lot of people that come from outside of Kenmore to our really great events. And so, I don't know, I'm just wondering if that could be more of a story and more year-long with an October or September, you know, something, and then with something in the dead zone in March and then our wonderful summer things.
Thoughts?
I do have a pair of later hoses.
No Leavenworth.
No.
So do we have the calendar already laid out for next year? So I'm thinking, I mean, we got the boat issue thing, and isn't that April? So
Yeah,
at least
there's the hand-powered watercraft from Redmond to Kenmore.
Yeah.
That's April timeframe. Or May.
May,
May.
right.
Hydros.
Right, we've
The
got the
hydros are in
hydros
April.
in April, but yeah,
But
really
just
kind of
have
making
some kind of a, yeah.
story.
We know the
Yeah.
concerts start in July, the movies start in July.
Right. Now we've got Play Day potentially in,
Play
oh,
Day.
that's August.
No, it used to
Oh.
be, but now it's. Because Shelby can't do all the things.
Oh, I
so
thought
it's
it
gonna
was
be
the summer party, we don't
way
even
early.
know.
We were gonna bring that into the Wild Oak Kenmore event,
Oh, they're gonna do that.
And that was gonna
Okay.
be early, wasn't it?
yeah, in June.
So you have a lot of events. That's not really, you're not saying we need more events, correct? What?
Right,
Okay.
just,
So you're
well, I mean, potentially if there's a 6-month dead zone, we might wanna think about that, but I don't think there is. I mean, I think we have a, you know, the winter theme one, and, you know, particularly if we have an October, September one, you know, that would kind of,
Maybe we
Make
do
the year.
Groundhog's Day one.
yeah.
Warm up.
But just
February.
articulate, again, you know, I'm all about kind of the messaging and communicating around that.
That'd be
So
amazing.
it's more about the messaging and communicating them as a whole.
And spacing them so that it, yeah, which we are doing by default.
And you can do a little bit of a theme like fun for the family.
Yeah,
You've got different pieces of that fun for the family. So there's the 21-year-old
Yes.
fun, but then there's also the movies, there's the music, and there's
right,
stuff on the water, and it's fun for the family. So
Yeah.
some kind of a theme that's not too rigid.
right.
Yeah.
Theme across all events.
Yeah.
If it's feasible, I mean, I think kind of looking at what we're doing and
Okay,
saying,
with
how
this
does
and
it, does it already create a story? Yeah,
Worry a little about doing like fun for the family or something that pigeonholes to expectations, that it's gonna be some little kid thing, and, you know, I think the concerts are definitely not just family, so I don't know, I worry about if you message something so much that you exclude other people wanting to go to it.
but it
so.
can even be, where's the fun? I mean, just have that, you know, like on the website, where's the fun calendar, you know, I mean, just something, you know, inclusive. I agree, family could be.
You know, I think we have a lot of successful events going on here in Kenmore. And for the most part, I think they seem to be spaced very well, and I don't know if it's necessary to try to tie them all together. They all serve their audiences, and I don't know how well an underlying theme to try to tie into all the different events that we have would work. I mean, certainly, we could look at it, but we're very successful with the events we're running right now. They're very well attended, and I don't know that we should necessarily.
Instead of where's the fun, maybe our newsletter has a little spot.
No, I agree
that
with
says,
where's
"When's
the fun.
and
Yeah.
a list of
Where's the
upcoming
fun is
events.
great, because then you can list where the
Yes,
events are.
exactly.
That part of it's fine. I think that's a good idea, certainly in our calendar, where's the fun. But, you know, I mean, you've got this rowing event, or paddling event from Redmond to Kenmore. I mean, that just grows every year. It's amazing how it's sort of taken off. So you get people calling now saying, when's it gonna happen? And the hydro races are growing now every year, and they're going a little bit further upriver every time. And I know I've been working with Bothell to get them up to Bothell Landing, you know, to go up and then come back down again. So things are growing, but I like the idea of a calendar saying,
Yeah.
where's the fun?
Where's the fun? Yeah, okay. Well, let's move it in that direction then, at least, you see how that works.
Can I mention one more thing on events? Kind of, and this is more of an operational issue, but I've always known that Lake Forest Park crew built the stage. They constructed the stage at the concerts. The one thing I've learned through all this analysis we've done is that it's 2.5 weeks worth of maintenance worker time in the busiest time of the year for our maintenance crew in July. And now that we have our own in-house crew, I really don't want to give up 2.5 weeks of July time for them to be building this stage. And what it is the Scandinavian Festival, they
Yeah.
own the
Yeah.
stage.
Right.
And then we have an arrangement where if we build it, we can use it too. But I've asked, I mentioned it in passing to Shelby just when I was walking by her desk the other day, and I want to see if there's some other options besides us blowing 2.5 weeks of the summer building a stage. So stay tuned on that, but
Could be subcontracted out or have some prisoners do it or something, or?
maybe, yeah.
As long as it's not a 37.5 an hour.
37.5 now.
So building a stage, I know a little bit about this because my son-in-law builds all the infrastructure for the TPC golf tournament that happens in February, the Waste Management Tour, which they build stadiums
The
around.
big crazy one down in Arizona.
Yes. The big one on this one is liability. So you do, the biggest thing you really need to make sure you're golden on is this thing doesn't fall down. So probably not prisoners. I'm not, no
The 2.5
disrespect.
yeah, the 2.5 weeks is setup and takedown. That's the total amount. But you'd be surprised on how much work. It's like, oh, we're missing this washer, so we've got to go down and to Home Depot. And, oh, this isn't fitting right, so we got to go to the wood shop and get recut. And it's just,
Okay, so you're looking at other options.
Yeah.
To pursue it, okay. In the interest of time, we have one more to go and we're like, got 30 seconds for it, a minute.
Michael, can I just make one comment? I'm sorry. The food is here, it's warm, and there's no warmers. So I don't know how much longer this topic's
We
gonna be.
can eat and work. Okay, so let's suspend it. We're out at noon. Let's have our lunch.
Okay.
And we'll come back and when we start working, we will come back on live. And we expect to do that by